All right, story time, guys. So this last Sunday was my very first time attending the underground church, an illegal church gathering. In my home province where I live, all churches are closed, all are under mandatory lockdown. And so it's been like this for a while. My home province has been heavily persecuting different pastors and churches, those who have stood up and said, no, you know what, we're going to continue to have meetings. One who is in my general vicinity, all the elders were charged, and if convicted, they face jail time and up to $10.8 million in fine. Another one, same thing, not that much farther from them. He was charged and forcibly barred from entering his church on Christmas Eve to hold a service. And there's been others who have been picked off as well. And so my province has been going hard on persecuting the church and not allowing gatherings by deeming the Church of Jesus as unessential. You can go to the liquor store, you can go buy weed, which was illegal a couple of years ago, but the church is unessential to my government. And so this particular pastor of the church I went to, he knows this. He knows the church is essential, and he knows that online church is not true church, that we are commanded to gather together in person. That's how we do the one another's. There's certain things that we can't do when we just observe and watch over YouTube or Zoom. And so he had a gathering, and I found out about this, and I got put onto their text list about when they were going to have their next meeting. And so I'll give you guys kind of a little bit of the background. I'll let you know exactly, what that looked like. But first, I just want to say that, this is absolutely crazy. It was actually for the last couple years, not this last one, but the two previous years before it, I hosted at the church I was going to in another province, David Platt's Secret Church simulcast. And I don't know if you are familiar with that, but it's like David Platt, he teaches for like 6 hours all at one night, and it's at nighttime. And the point of it is to just try to let believers know what an underground church service is kind of like, It's often meeting in secret at night, and there's lots more teaching, and it's not entertainment, it's like really digging in, right? And so when I was hosting these and just trying to get people to, just do whatever that would help them to kind of make it feel real in the moment, just saying, if you wanna come, park a couple streets down, and kind of come in undetected, I was just trying to encourage people to kind of make it feel real and to do this. And if you would have told me, a couple years later, you're not going to be doing these, you're going to be actually at a secret gathering in Canada, it's like, man, like how quickly things have changed. And so it's just crazy, to be at this cultural moment. I grew up going to like Voice of the Martyrs conferences and reading biographies of the persecuted church and praying for the persecuted church. And so to be here at this cultural moment, it's just insane. And so anyway, so we got the message about where the church was going to be gathering and at the time. And so it was at a unusual time for normal church gatherings, and they had staggered enterings. And so what that means is, if the meeting was at a particular time, they had people arriving 15 minutes before, and then another group 15 minutes before that, and another group 15 minutes before that, so that we weren't all coming to the church meeting place at the same time, to kind of not draw so many eyes to the gathering. Now, when I pulled up to the meeting place at the meeting time, I grabbed the parking spot, and ahead of me is an officer with his sirens on. So I'm like, oh man, what do we do? It's just, I'm just trying to think through the situation, do we turn around or whatever? So anyways, I contacted them and kind of waited for instructions, and found out that that officer was not there for the gathering, but there was something else going on nearby. And so it was crazy because when we were walking to the place, we're walking right past the officers with their sirens on. So it kind of made the situation just kind of feel even more real, and it was kind of like a sense, a heightened sense of anxiety for a few minutes. But anyway, so we get to the place, and I'm being nondescript because I want to keep this on the down low. But so we get to the place, and there's people waiting at the door for us, and so you walk in, and so you're not just kind of outside waiting. So you walk in, and then the entire building is dark, and so you kind of you're walking through, and just like there's no lights on, and it's just kind of a very secret feeling. And of course, this is not just games. I mean, they're doing that because you don't want to have all the lights on to show that there's something going on here. And so we go into the area, and there is the area where the saints are gathered, and the lights are on in that area. And we just walked in. It was just crazy, just to see everybody. There was a couple people with masks, but everybody was unmasked, and it was just like, oh wow, we're here. Saints who value meeting together, and will put off any hindrance to getting together, and who aren't letting fear run their lives because they know that something is more important, and they will risk safety to go meet with the saints. And it was just crazy to be there, and so exciting. So we sat down in our seats, and we had a service, and it was a very typical service. All the standard elements that you'd have in a normal church service. We sang, we prayed, we read the Bible. There was a sermon. We recited the creed. We did all the things. We took the Lord's Supper. And oh man, that was so special, because me and my family had not taken the Lord's Supper. I mean, I don't even know when the last time was, whatever it is, 9, 10, 11 months ago. And so it's been such a long time. And so to get to take the Lord's Supper with other saints, it was just so encouraging. And it was just such a sigh of relief, to just be able to raise my hands in worship, unmasked, with saints, praising God, and everyone who is there takes this seriously, and that's kind of one of the beautiful things about persecution. I'm not the type of, Paul tells us to pray that we may live a peaceable life in Christ Jesus. We don't want to pray that we will be persecuted, but persecution comes, and God uses that as a refiner's fire. And it has the effect of kind of making those who are lukewarm and uncommitted, fall off, and because the cost is too high. And so to be there with all these saints who take this so seriously. And afterwards, we had some good fellowship, and it was so sweet. I got to tell you, I don't mean to go off on the mask thing again, but it's just like, one of the things about masks is just not being able to see someone smile. That's one of the blessings about being able to stand across from a saint and to just see their warm smile and just say welcome, and to feel the love on them. I'm a big body language guy. I read people's body language, and so if you're standing back 6 feet with a mask, you're both masks over your face, it just feels so inauthentic. It's so hard to have genuine community together. And so it felt so right. And so, the saying is, you often don't know what you have until it's gone. And, this was just a real wake up of the privilege of meeting together unhindered with God's people in a normal way. So that's my story about going to an underground church service, and hopefully in your area you're not having to do that. Hopefully you guys can meet unhindered. But if you are in a situation like myself where you can't, all your churches are closed, what I would say is hopefully you've got some relationships where you can kind of dialogue with some leaders or people who know, and maybe you can find out of an underground meeting in your area, or maybe you start one up yourself.